The Indiana Fever are playing their next game tomorrow night against the Los Angeles Sparks, the only team they've beat, and it's going to be an interesting game, purely because, well, one, the Fever have beaten them, and the Sparks aren't doing great. Other than the Mystics, and the Mystics suck, the Sparks have not won a game. So it's not like the Sparks are a brilliant team either, but at the same time, like, they were really close to the Wings yesterday. I mean, like Erika she went like 0 of 8 from 3. She had as bad a game as she's going to have. Like, she has absolutely no conscience. But at the same time, 20 points, stepped up. They did go and get the win for the Wings. But at the end of the day, there are two weak teams playing against each other. They got the number 1 and the number 2 overall picks. And before you get on, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers as soon as possible. And if we could hit that, that would be absolutely incredible. We upload more basketball content in here than anywhere else. But anyway, now let's get on to the video. Caitlin Clark is going to need to improve on some things, and I don't necessarily know when it comes to Clark if the improvements are up to her or they're on the coach. And I'm actually going to put most of this blame on the coach at the end of the day, because I think that the coach has not let things work. The coach has not made things work when it comes to how Caitlin Clark has played. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the good things and the bad things Caitlin Clark has done this season, because we do have a little bit of a break, 2 days without Caitlin Clark games. And I mean, look, this is a channel where I talk about content. I will be talking about a lot of WNBA. There's no WNBA games now. And don't worry, for all of you fans saying I'm focusing too much on Caitlin Clark. Obviously, my last video was about how I think Cameron Brink so far this year has actually been the best rookie. But if you are asking me who is my favorite rookie, as far as what I look for in a basketball player, it's Angel Reese, and I will be making a video later today just purely talking about all the reasons why I love Angel Reese. So do not worry about that if you're a Caitlin Clark. If you're not if you're thinking I'm just an absolute Caitlin Clark stan. But at the end of the day, we're going to break down a lot of the games, and I'm not going to really judge the first couple of games because that's just kind of feeling things out. But the longer time goes on, the more you can see what will work and what doesn't work. So what Caitlin Clark does really, really well, and I actually think she is the best player in the WNBA at this, and it is being the lead guard in transition. The way when she gets that ball, she immediately, there's no like stopping. So the ball gets given to her, and it's just the second the ball is there, go. And she looks up in transition so well. Like, if you are on Caitlin Clark's team, and it's why Fag Bentley's been doing so well. She just runs her ass off. She just runs in a straight line, and Caitlin Clark will hit her. She will stop fumbling those balls soon. Trust me on that one. Like, team players have got to get used to her, and she's going to be really good. And I am liking what the one thing I will give credit to Coach Sides for is that she's now playing Fag Bentley with Aaliyah Boston. So it's not the two of them coming in for one another, because it allows Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark to be on. It'll allow Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark to be on the floor with each other, because Aaliyah Boston is not going to be outrunning people down the floor. She's just not. But Aaliyah Boston is the best half-court player, including Caitlin Clark, on the Indiana Fever. She is the best half-court player, and figuring out a way of not limiting how Caitlin Clark plays the game and having Aaliyah Boston there has been a big thing. And that is, again, the one really, really good thing that she's done is being able to hit people in transition, especially for Bentley, because she does that better than everyone. And in the WNBA, a lot of people are like, oh, WNBA is this like slow team ball league. It's like, why does it have to be that? Why does it have to be that? Like, the NBA, a lot of people call the NBA like a post players league until Jordan came along. A lot of people said a jump shot shooting team would never win a championship until Steph Curry came along. Why couldn't a team, when everyone wants to play this slow down style, just run at teams? Why can't that be effective? And Caitlin Clark is the best point guard in the WNBA at that. Even if Caitlin Clark, even if nothing, the hype goes, she's not hitting those threes, nothing pans out in her WNBA career, she's still going to be an unbelievable facilitator. Like, the way people describe what Lonzo was going to be in the NBA, like college Lonzo Ball, what Lonzo Ball almost was in Chino Hills. Like, that is the floor. Caitlin Clark is already that. That is the floor for her. And that is the one thing she does exceptionally well. And other things she's doing well, she rebounds quite well defensively for a guard. And she draws gravity. She draws gravity. And you can say, oh, she's terrible in half court. And I actually don't think she's great in half court. But when you are being blitzed at the halfway line, and it's not like they blitz and recover. They blitz and keep the double on her. They blitz and keep it. So she basically, every single time she comes off a pick and roll, it is a 4-on-3 for her team. Caitlin Clark will not score off that. So people are like, oh, Caitlin Clark needs to shoot the ball more. Why? She's being double teamed. Like, why does Caitlin Clark need to shoot more shots with a hand in her face or through double teams? She's never going to make them. In reality, the team needs to be better at scoring, if you get me. Like, if teams blitz Caitlin Clark as heavily as they have been, and coach side draws up something, so rather than the players standing with their hands by their side, Alia Boston rolling to the free throw line, and Caitlin Clark being like, oh crap, how am I meant to... Everyone's being denied. Who the hell do I give the ball to? And she's actually gotten better at not turning the ball over in that scenario. But because she's now focusing on not turning it over, instead of making the killer pass, the assist pass, or the pass to free up a teammate like she normally does, she's so worried about turnovers that's on the team. Like, there's no reason why. Because Alia Boston's man will always double on that screen. Alia Boston doesn't dive to the rim. A wing comes up to give Caitlin Clark a passing angle. Clark gets a better passing angle. And it means that one of two things are there. Either Boston's wide open under the rim, or if she's able to do what she's good at and score, get the ball inside, she can have a seal there in the middle on a wing, not on the center because they're outguarding Caitlin Clark. Or if they overhelp over, the skip pass to the far corner for a shooter. And as bad as Kelsey Mitchell is, I'm confident she can hit an open shot. Actually, to be fair, I don't know with this Fever team. But there has to be something. And the coach has got to draw up something, because Caitlin Clark is... a lot of people are going to be like, oh, she needs to shoot more. She needs to shoot 8 shots. She needs to get the ball back. Why does she need to get the ball back? When she touches the ball, she gets double teamed. Her team should be able to score without that. The only way Caitlin Clark's going to be effective is if she can't get double teamed like that. There's not one player in the there's not one guy in the WNBA that can be double teamed and score. There's not. That can score through double teams. There's just not. And the problem is that at least in Iowa, all of our players were cutting. They all knew what they were doing, and they were all able to score. So you couldn't afford to double team Caitlin Clark every possession half court. And that's what they're doing. So as far as people being like, oh, Caitlin Clark needs to do X, Y, and Z better, if she's with that type of defensive pressure, it's on the coach to be able to put in a system that teams can't double team her that much. And leaving her in that situation where she's being able to be double teamed is not. It's not going to work. You're not only making things worse for your own team, because Indiana Fever's half-court offense just sucks. It's literally refusing to put in anything is almost like sabotaging not only your team, it's sabotaging your best player. And a lot of people are like, oh, but she's not the best player. She's turned the ball over. She's doing this, that. It's she's being double teamed at half court. She's their best player. They're double teaming Caitlin Clark at half court, and some of the times they're leaving Alia Boston wide open under the basket for a layup. The best player on this team is Caitlin Clark, or at least the player who draws the most gravity is Caitlin Clark. But in reality, if coach sides draws up some sort of sets to find ways of getting Caitlin Clark, because people are like, oh, she needs to be off the ball more, but coach sides is that it seems like she's that not creative offensively that when she thinks Caitlin Clark is off the ball, it's you're going to stand in the corner. Let's try to put in some sets where she's coming off screens. Let's use her as a screener to free up other players. And that is one thing. It needs to be put in the coach, but it's about how the coach needs to use Caitlin Clark better. Caitlin Clark needs to be the gravity that she has to be used to free up other players. And that's how the Fever is going to have to get better, because the current gravity that Caitlin Clark has, Caitlin Clark's stats are going to be down. But they need to stop worrying about box score watchers, because she's not shooting the ball anyway, about how many points that she gets. If Caitlin Clark frees up her teammates for entire games and they just put the ball in the basket, which they should be able to do, they're WNBA players, they're some of the best college players ever, they're meant to be some of the best players in the world, then everything should be good. And I think it all comes from that. The one thing Caitlin Clark needs to get better at there's two things: defense and attitude. And in general, I think Caitlin Clark's attitude's okay. She seems to be a good teammate. She seems to be a really nice person. But she does have a problem where if something goes wrong, if she goes and if she turns the ball over, she doesn't immediately run back on defense. There is that second delay where you might get away with that in college. You're not getting away with that against the best players in the world. If you switch off for a second, if you make a mistake, if you do something and you switch off for a second, it gets punished. And it has been punished so far badly by Caitlin Clark. It's the opposite with Clark and Reese. It doesn't matter what the situation is. Angel Reese is she's putting her body in line. She's working her ass off. Whereas with Caitlin Clark, there are times, I think she got away with a bit in college, where she could afford to switch off. She could afford to, something happens, kind of throw her hands up and not get back. And it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work in this league. These players are too disciplined. They're too good. That's not going to work. And then defensively, she's a not good defender. She needs to be a smarter defender. We're seeing it in the NBA. Luka Doncic has got the foot speed of a slow center, but you're seeing now more and more Luka finding a way to get into positions. Down the stretch, his clutch defense has been unbelievable. The steals he gets, the positioning is better. Caitlin Clark is being targeted on defense, and she's got to find a way that maybe that not just she's going to stop people, but that she has to at least make it somewhat difficult. She's got to, and I think when you are a bad defender, as far as when you are not the physically the strongest, you're not the quickest laterally, you've got to play defense with here. So what Caitlin Clark needs to do is herself study every matchup. It's very clear that she's just being cooked in the same way consistently, and that's one thing that I don't really like when it comes to, and it's the reason why I hate Christy Sides. I hate her, is that the Fever are making the same mistakes game after game after game, and every single team who have beaten the Fever defend Caitlin Clark the exact same way off pick and rolls, but the Fever do the exact same thing on offense, and it doesn't work. That's why I hate Christy Sides, and it's a frustrating thing about Caitlin Clark where it's if you have a weakness, find a way to mask the weakness, and her weakness is defense, which is fine. You can mask being weak on defense if you are able to outthink your opponent, because she is a good rebounder. Her hands are really quick. So there's ways that she can force players into difficult shots. Like a player likes to go left, try force right. See what the tendencies of players are. Because especially in the WNBA, it's at times they don't have the bag of a Kyrie Irving. Some players obviously do, but you're not going to be seeing them, if you're forcing them left, put up lefty hook shots from the free throw line in your face. It's very, very easy to guard Caitlin Clark. And that's another thing she needs to get better at, is she's really good going downhill. Whether that be coming off screens, if she's even being blitzed and she's able to turn the corner and get to the basket, she's really good. She's finishes well, and a lot of the time, because she's such a good passer at kicking out the shooters, they will give her the open layup because they don't want her to be able to pass the ball, and that happened a lot of the time against the Sun when they almost beat them. That was her best game as a pro. So she does need a mid-range shot, and I don't mean that in the Christy Sides way of she needs to spot up from a foot inside the 3-point line. She needs some sort of a game in between a layup and a 3-point shot. A lot of people are going to be saying, oh, she needs to be able to shoot going right. She releases the ball from this side of her head. That's not going to happen. Just like for guys like Larry Bird who release the ball from this side of their head, and it's hard to shoot going left because you're bringing the ball across. It's not going to happen. But you just need something. She needs something in between the layup and the 3-point shot. Because, and she's not going to develop that during the season. That's something for next season. But what she can develop is the defense. But in general, I think she's going to be fine. Caitlin Clark she's already one of the best guards in WNBA. If you're asking me who is better right now, Caitlin Clark or Sabrina Ionescu, I think it's a debate. Because Sabrina's better at some things, Caitlin Clark is better at others. If you're asking me who's better, Caitlin Clark or Kelsey Plum, it's a debate. I think what's going to happen is maybe there's not the greatest rookie year, but I think eventually a team is going to build a team around Caitlin Clark, and a good team around Caitlin Clark, and they're going to be one of the best teams in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark's not going to average 40 like she did in college. She's probably going to average 18, 19 a game. But Caitlin Clark could average for a season. Not this year, but there could be a season with the right players around her, with just gunners and bigs like Fagbenle. If you built Caitlin Clark around that, she could average 17, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds, which is, for the WNBA, that's borderline MVP numbers on a good team. That is the type of player. She's not going to be a 40-point a game scorer. I didn't realize how bad the offense would translate scoring-wise, but it's hard to judge based on that because of how she's being defended. And I think eventually, when she's no longer, she's not going to be guarded with these blitzes the rest of her career. Like, it's just because it's a rookie year, and teams would be willing to lose a game if they stop Caitlin Clark. And that's just the reality of it. Like, that defense should not work. It shouldn't. The way teams are defending the Fever should not work. Any competent coach would be able to coach a team into beating that defense every single time, but Christy Sides is not a competent coach. Either way, look, it is what it is. I think Caitlin Clark's done a lot of things really well. She's done a lot of things really badly, and I just think the whole situation for the team, I think Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston are two unbelievable players. I also do think in general that I think for both of them, it's probably best not to play with each other. It's just, like, they both seem like good people, but their play styles don't really fit. I think Aliyah Boston, I honestly think if Caitlin Clark wasn't, if the Fever take Cameron Brink, they're better right now. And I think in hindsight, not that the Fever wish they regret taking Caitlin Clark because how much money they made. I think in hindsight, there are a lot of people in the Fever organization that probably wish that the lottery balls didn't fall their way. The ping pong balls did not fall their way. And then hypothetically, like the Mercury, who could have got the number one pick, if you put her with Kalia Copper and Diana Taurasi, Caitlin Clark, oh my God, they're 100 times better than this Fever team. Either way, though, look, it is what it is. It is what it is. I can't see too much changing. I think Caitlin Clark's done a lot of good. She's done a lot of bad. And breaking down the games, I think that, like, as not well as Aliyah Boston's been playing this year, I think she's picked it up a little bit. And I don't think anyone on that team is in a position to succeed. I really don't. I think it is the coach's problem. And it's not the coach's problem by saying Caitlin Clark needs to improve X, Y, and Z. It's the coach's problem because she has a completely flawed understanding of the game of basketball. She has a flawed understanding of spacing. When she put Caitlin Clark off the ball, and like a lot of people are saying Caitlin Clark needs to play off the ball more. It's like, yeah, she needs to be running off screens. She needs to use her gravity. She needs to set some screens, a bit like Steph Curry. But Christy Sides' idea of playing off the ball standing in the corner, and that's just pointless. Putting a player like that standing in the corner for a game is just pointless, especially when no one else can really create. It's a horribly coached team, and like, it's hard. It's so hard to write her off already. I still think she wins Rookie of the Year. I think she's going to be an all-star. I don't think she makes the Olympic team. But look, it is what it is. Not a bad start. Like, the only people that would think this is a bad start are people that thought she was going to be the best player in WNBA. I expected a little bit better of a start, but when you see the situation she's been put in, it was never going to be any better than this. And it's a hell of a rookie class. So even if she doesn't win Rookie of the Year, if it is Cameron Brink, I don't think it's going to be Angel Reese. I think with Cardoso back, and I think when just a couple of injuries back, her stats are going to go down. And as good as Angel Reese is going to be, she's going to help winning. I don't think she's going to have the stats to compete with Caitlin Clark or Cameron Brink. But again, you just never know. It's very early in the year.